Hi everyone, and welcome to Neighbors to Know. This is an epic, historic episode because we are live on Facebook right now and on YouTube. So for those of you that are watching live, thank you so much for tuning in on this lovely, windy, cold, well not cold, but rainy Thursday. So thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for liking Neighbors to Know on Facebook. And if you're watching at Bedford TV MA, thank you for watching them as well. This will be up on YouTube on both Neighbors to Know and Bedford TV MA when we're all done. But we are relatively unscripted, sort of, and I would only do that with this very special neighbor I have on today. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this neighbor in full uniform with his many different hats on. Some of you might know him, but we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty with him today. He doesn't even know what my questions are, and find out more about this dynamic neighbor who's had such a tremendous impact on our town and brings smiles to people young and old. So today we're talking to Mr. John O.C. O'Connor. I feel like there should be a round of applause.
Good morning, Jen.
Hello, O.C. How are you?
It's so nice to be here this morning.
It's a bit warm here today.
It is warm.
It is warm. Yeah. You doing okay over there?
I'm okay, Jen.
Okay. So you brought some props today? Oh, seriously?
Oh my goodness! There it is. That's what I needed.
You were just waiting for that.
That was the intro that I would do when teaching salesmanship merit badge for the Boy Scouts at Harvard University for Merit Badge University.
That's awesome.
And I'd get up there and I'd be like mumble, and then I'd come play that remotely and come through the door and go, "Hey, good morning! How was everybody?" You only have one opportunity to make a good first impression.
That's true. I don't even know what my first impression is. You were kind of an enigma, I think, my first impression of you.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
I like that. That was in World War II, that typewriter thing. That was pretty
like
cool.
negative 30 in World War II, but... So anyway, so scouting is where I first... how I met you was through scouting.
Yes, ma'am.
I did wear my Eagle Mom
Oh,
pin.
and you should be proud of that.
Yes, I'll put a little plug in for my son who got his Eagle.
Yes.
Congratulations.
See, there's the phone. Oh, hello, I'll get it.
So you've been quite a big staple at Troop 194 in Bedford. I know you're looking at the community questions.
No, I am not. I am not. I promise, I am not. I'm enjoying this.
So yeah, you were kind of an enigma because I didn't know what your role was. All I heard was like people would mumble and say, "Talk to OC." I'm like, who is, honestly, I'm not even making up a story. Like, who is this OC person, whatever? And you would just like casually walk up sometimes and then walk back downstairs in the Legion. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on.
Oh, goodness. Those are, just as a backdrop.
Yeah.
As a kid, if I didn't have scouting myself, all right, I'd probably dead or in jail still.
So let's backtrack before we get into
All
what
right,
things are
go
now.
ahead.
Because that was going to be
This
one of
is
the things I
your
want to talk
show.
about. This is your show.
I'm coming for a ride, and this is great. Thank you.
Hold on, okay. Because I have questions from your wife too. Special shout out, by the way, to Lynn O'Connor, because typically I go for coffee with my guests to kind of get to know them better, but I thought I pretty much knew you. Little did I know. There's all sorts of other things that I found out from talking to his wife. So Lynn, if you're watching, thank you so much. OC's said many great things about you, but it's given me some juicy stuff to talk about too. But so rewinding. So so how did you start with scouting in the first place?
Well, back then, my mother was a den leader. Okay, that was normal. We learned how to bang nails, and carve the ivory soap with the little butter knives and stuff like that, and it was pretty cool. And then moved into, or as we say nowadays, cross over into Boy Scouts, and it was tremendous. It was something that a kid like me needed. There was discipline.
I was going to say, what does that mean? A kid like you?
There was discipline.
Okay.
All right, now we're talking 1966. 1966, my first year in Boy Scouts. And I was raised, my mom was a single mom, school teacher for 35 plus years.
That's why you like me so much.
Indeed.
That's a lot of similarities. I didn't know that. But keep going.
She was going to make I asked her why she didn't really make a career out of it, but she never got back to me on it. So she did her best, but there was always that male son, male mom missing. And the three gentlemen that really had an impact from a male perspective in my life were all Marines.
Oh.
So there was discipline there.
Marines through scouting or Marines just that you knew?
Marines, as in my father, who served in occupation forces in Japan and then also in Korea. My uncle, who served with the Marines in Solomon Islands and that theater, and my scoutmaster, a Marine who was closer to my age, but still, you know, when you're this big, someone that's, 6 years old is a lot older. And he was more than 6 years older, but all Marines. So they kept the pressure on when needed. As I was, rambunctious,
Squirrely.
cantankerous, even more so then than now, and trying to find, rebellious, definitely rebellious, especially with the parental situation. So they, a lot of red, white, and blue, USMC, and in scouting was a perfect match to go out. You're outside. You get to play with pointy objects and fire. What kid doesn't want to deal with that? So it was all great stuff early on.
So then, were you in Bedford throughout this?
No,
or were there other?
This was back, I grew up on the South Shore in Weymouth. People think that's in Cape Cod. It's really not Cape Cod. It's Weymouth, South Shore. South Shore Naval Air Station was there, and it was Troop 2. Hi, Troop 2.
There was only two
Y'all.
troops back then. Sorry, that was really mean.
I think there were so many councils back then. Right now, there's one major council, two and a half major councils in all of Massachusetts. Back then, there might have been like 25 or 30
Really?
councils, and each council had their own numerical, as
okay.
it were. So, Troop 2, and we were very active. And that's the thing, you got to keep the kids active. Back then, the patrols were more, we'd even have patrol meetings, never mind just troop meetings. And we'd build all sorts of things, lashing and campouts. And I was never much for hiking, but our troop did a lot of canoeing. We did a lot of bike riding. And every month, unless something really crazy came up, our older scoutmaster, Mr. Pratt, who fought in World War I, owned some property in Norwell, and we would go there on Valley Pines, and we would camp out, and that was great. Rain, snow, winter, I would sit there and wait for the truck, Ronnie to come, Ronnie Perry, the scoutmaster, to come pick me up, wait, everything's packed and ready to go, gotta go camping, let's go. And it's super duper.
So then what brought you up to Bedford?
Bedford, Lynn and I had, when we were married, we were living in Somerville, in between Teal and Davis, closer to Teal, and that was the Paris of the 90s.
What was?
Davis
Somerville?
Square.
Okay.
Square, don't you know?
Okay.
Davis Square was the Paris of the 90s, they said. And we wanted to have a place for predominantly education, and someplace closer to where Lynn was working, and she was working down off of Hayden Ave in Lexington. And where I worked, it didn't matter because I needed to get to an airport and fly somewhere anyway, so it didn't matter. And Somerville was close, Bedford's close.
Where were you working?
That's a great job. Let me get
Is that the Houlihan story?
No, that's post Houlihan.
Was there a Houlihan's in Bedford before?
No, ma'am. No. No, Bedford would never have had a Houlihan's. Not even in the 80s. But I want to get a shout out to the great educational systems we have here in Bedford. And that was our number one reason to move here, for sure, by far.
Did you have kids at that point? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Both of them were born. Actually, Austin, I think, was born. Yes, because he was born in Newton Wellesley. So he was born when we lived in Bedford. Tori was born when we were in Somerville. And the day before, or the morning of Austin's birth, he says he was golfing right across the street at the golf course with my dad.
Oh,
He came out years later and told us that. So I said, that's pretty cool, because there actually was a golf course across the street. So I said, all right, dude, you can eventually get to play golf, and he's picked it up for sure.
that's funny.
So we moved to Bedford, and scouting here was, again, it's great for the kids. So I knew that letting Austin start with Cub Scouts, and let's see where it went. Now, I put that, let's see where it goes, or let's see where it went.
Going Eagle.
Exactly. It's like, kid, you ain't have any chance of not going. So when your dad's one of the scout leaders, he kind of gets placed in the car and they go. You take a look at the attendance records now, even.
So you went all the way through. You got your Eagle.
Oh, I got my Eagle back in 1970.
1970.
1970. I think it was the day after the Bruins won the Stanley Cup for the longest time break in between. That was May 10th, 1970. I think I got it on the day after, or right around there.
Do you remember what your Eagle project was?
No,
That's one of my questions.
no.
You said you should, dig deep.
I
Two
have
things I had to stay away
thought
from.
and thought and thought. Back then, it was more service
Yeah.
as opposed to leadership. Now it's a blend of leader service, and we put the Eagle Scouts are in a position of a project manager.
It's like owning a business, really.
Exactly. They got to see it from the impetus to conclusion.
And there's really no, it has to be sustainable now, so there really is no conclusion.
And hopefully that is that.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
which is wonderful. And I always said, okay, did you get that little plate on there on the back of the bench that's at the schools? It's made by Eagle Scout.
Right.
Just put it there.
We still
put
have
it
yet
there.
to do that at the garden, but it'll
You
get
have
done.
to do that.
It'll get done.
Absolutely.
So Austin made it up to Eagle?
He did. A lot of these colors here, these wonderful colors here, or lack thereof, are from Austin. Taking it right. I'm probably overreacting. He had 3 days before he turned 18. So
It could
what
have
do you
been
do?
worse.
What do you do with the extra 3 days?
That came up at the Eagle dinner about, raise your hand if you just got your Eagle like yesterday.
And they were those, right? As long as you get that paperwork in, you got it. Exactly.
So a couple things stood out for me. I had never gone camping, and we kind of went towards the scouting route for a very similar reason of what you were talking about. And back then, long time ago, Jeff Carter was the scoutmaster.
That's right.
And very into hiking. I never went on a hiking. That's not true. It's a Patriots Day. I'll count that as hiking.
You did that?
I did that. Oh my
Oh,
word!
you're awesome.
And then Alan Cody is like, you have to keep to 1.5 miles an hour. And we're like,
that's
we're
Alan.
coming.
That's Alan. He's a
But it
taskmaster
was-
and keeps us on task.
Patriots
yes, he
Day
does.
is so big, obviously here. So
for you.
it's hike from starting off at the Battle Green, hiking all the way down to Concord, coming all the way back.
Did you get your medal?
Yes, I did get
Isn't
my
that?
medal.
I don't have
did.
any yet. I'm hoping that as I heal better from and get my out there, so I do more exercise, I can get one of those myself, because I don't know. After the hip replacement, that's my recent excuse. All the other ones, who knows?
But the one thing that stood out for me with you, for your character, was that cabin trip. Do you remember that cabin trip that you and I were leaders on?
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to share that because that
Well,
was about you.
You're going to have
It was-
to tickle my memory on this one for
I will.
specifics.
It was. It had been cold. There was snow. Where was it? In New
Either
Hampshire.
Jaffrey
It was in Jaffrey.
or Gardner.
And there was a thaw. So there's enough snow on the ground. It wasn't cold enough. The lake wasn't frozen, so we couldn't do the rockets where the kids let off rockets. So they
Right.
couldn't do them. But there are two cabins, so it was a recruiting event for the Weeblos to move on to become members of Troop 194. So there was cabin 1 and then there was cabin 2. So cabin 1 had all the Weeblos, all the younger kids. That's where they did all not all the cooking, but a lot of stuff, whatever. That was like that's the cabin that you wanted to be in. We
Right,
come to
away
us,
from those
we're,
adults.
It was you, me, and Jimmy
This
Chiquinto.
was a different one.
And
Oh, yes,
it
now you're
was-
tickling.
There was it had thawed a few days before, so there was just ice everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Chris Weiss stepping out of that first cabin over and over and
Oh,
over
yes.
again. I'm like, you
Yes.
gotta watch that step. But our cabin, the fireplace wasn't working. And at first,
Little did
when
we
I saw,
know.
little did we know, and shout out after a while to Jimmy McGinn, because he was the one who popped into cabin one. He's like, dude, your flu's backwards. So that got fixed, but there was still something that was wrong with it. And you and Jimmy, it was cold. It was really cold.
Yes, that was cold.
And I'm a trooper, I think when it
You
comes
did
to this,
very
the
well.
camping stuff, but that was a bit much even from, you think in a cabin you're going to be warm. But you stayed up, you and Jimmy, your plan was to stay up all night, keep, the fire kept going out. So keep, logs going in.
Yes.
And then I know Jimmy fell asleep at one point, and then he said you just kept going. So that others before self thing was huge. And the thing that, my biggest respect for you is that you, and why it ties in with you being here, you don't need the bells and whistles because you just do that because that's who you are. Maybe that wasn't so much who you were when you were 15 based on what you just said.
Shy.
But because of all these
No one believes
things,
it.
because you stayed up and, granted at one point you fell asleep too, but for most of the night we could sleep. And if
Yeah.
if you have no sleep, it's awful. So the fact that you even did that, no one asked you to, it wasn't even a question, you just did.
You didn't realize I was actually keeping track of how many times the squirrels above us were going back and forth.
Doing,
Did you hear them
No.
during the night?
I was too cold. Although I vaguely remember as you're talking about it.
They go out and pick up a nut and bring it back. I'm going,
They were putting them inside the
oh,
fireplace.
they were probably not happy that we were messing with their
That's
commissary.
why, was that
Yeah.
why it wasn't working?
I'm sure. No, because the smoke would have been even worse.
I remember that now.
Yes.
Wow.
That wasn't at Gardner or Jaffrey. That was up in King something where we were able to get a place.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's right. And the ice slick.
It was slick. That was an experience.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to move back to Lynn for a second. Way back, you coached your kids softball. You were part of Babe Ruth baseball. She asked me to ask you about the year of the Marlins.
Oh.
See, this I have no idea what that even means, and I'm glad that you're smiling
that's
because obviously
good.
it's a
That's
doozy.
Good.
What is
All
this
right,
year of
so
the Marlins?
You know the Bad News Bears movie,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, very well.
Let's frame it within that context.
Okay.
Not that these kids were, but they're kids that age. You've got one that's, almost 6 feet tall, and he's the same age and same grade as the kid that's this tall. And you've got everything in between. You've got some of the, and by the way, that year I tried to get all 3 of the females that were playing ball with us, but I only got 2 out of 3.
Well, still.
But that was great. So, so we had male, female, and you'd have some of those players that had older brothers. They would be a little more adept and know what's going on. And the others was like I was what I was going, oh, a ball's coming. Oh, look
There
at that.
it goes.
Well, how about that one? Isn't that something? And you pick the dandelions in the outfield and you throw the rocks but
That's funny because I remember that from watching baseball games. Look at the pretty flowers. There goes the ball.
oh,
Childhood is so innocent.
So you've got the coaches, and we had a great coaching staff, all right, and we'd try to bring it down to their level, but it's like, okay. And then a second later, you turn your head and they're grabbing, this is my bottle. No, this is my candy bar. Okay, all right, guys, let's bring it down. Let's focus out there on the field. And they were, I tell you, there were some times that they were a little challenged by my way of coaching. If someone wasn't paying attention, I'd say, all right, good, come on now. You stand right here. And everyone else, you're going to do 3 laps around the diamond, around the field. But make sure you come back and tell Joey, Bobby, Mark, or Rachel, whoever the person was, they're thankful for the opportunity to exercise. Well, after a while, they'd get it. I don't think we can do that today. Yes, PC. So the kids had heart.
Yeah.
They had heart. We'd do the practices. We'd go through we'd go in batting practices, right? And you have to struggle for the teams. And this was during, one of the times was during the camporee, the annual.
We actually have a picture. I don't know if,
Yearly
that would
and
get there.
annual, about the same, right?
They're
it
about
happens
the
every
same.
year.
You said not to talk about math, but yeah, we have a picture
Oh,
actually
don't
of the camporee. I don't know if Ryan had put that up already, but we had a picture
Oh,
of
there
the
it is.
camporee
Yes,
from
hi.
years
There it is.
ago.
Absolutely.
That was several years ago because lots of those kids are much taller
Yes, much
now.
bigger kids is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And there's you sitting by the fire. Do you remember that? And I had to put that in there because Cherie is there, and that was the first time she had gone camping.
yes, and she went glamping, right?
She went glamping.
Glamping,
yes.
that's right.
So they
That's
not
right.
only take care of like the kids, but also of
Oh,
the adults.
that took a year and a half to get her to go to that one. That was well worth it. And then with all the cooking the adults do on that event, it's super. I mean, just come on down, get fed. And there's something they say: the older the older the scoutmaster or scout leaders are, the more round or experienced they are
It's
as
some
well.
good food, I have to say.
So back to baseball.
Yeah.
We play some of the better teams, and we'd struggle, and we'd get there, and we'd overcome and go, okay. And then we're getting down to the last game, and I'd always go to some of the other coaches. One in particular, Miss Barbara, who knew about stretching a long time ago. She was very smart. She was a PT, and she made sure the kids stretch. In fact, I said that to my son Austin the other day, and she said, "Oh yeah, she knew what she was doing." So I'd go. Everyone would be tight. I'd go, "Coach, does this hat make my butt look big?"
Oh,
And I'd just
jeez.
straighten it. She'd go, "Oh, see, stop it." And we'd just break the ice, and then
Yeah.
everyone, and it was so cool. And finally I said, all right, here's the last chance. We're going against the final game. I go, get one, we're done. Get one, we're done.
That's so bad news bearsy.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Just got there. And we had, our signals, and Coach Jim was awesome, and then Coach Barry. I mean,
I'm dying here, so how'd they do?
The kids here are going like, all right, they look at it, they're hearing Coach Barry, Coach Jim, Coach Barbara, Coach O.C., and they're telling them something, and Jim goes, funny, O.C., I don't know, but I want these kids to be as neurotic as we were growing up. So we'll keep. These poor kids, can you imagine we're talking at this level and they're here? So finally, one of the contributing plays that made it work, our signal was not a verbal one like that. I mean, not a
Hand signal.
that one.
Yeah.
But it was a verbal. It was like, all right, Junior.
Oh, no.
Junior, all right? Now, Austin was on third, and this is not to take away from anyone else that was playing. We had great pitching. We had great bats, and the field was a defensive brilliance out there. But this one particular play, I said, all right, Junior. And it was to steal, and he stole the base.
Nice.
And the fans went crazy, and then we went on there that wasn't the winning, but went on to win from there. And we did win.
Nice.
And euphoric
Yeah.
is the baby brother or sister to the way that we were feeling. It was just ultimate. And the kids and happiness and coaches, and we brought out the bottles of no champagne. No
That's a
champagne.
different story.
No champagne. That was so good. It was so cool. I have the pictures, one of the favorite pictures of the team.
Yeah.
Afterwards with the trophies and everything. And I was going to send it to them after 5 years. And I said, no, I'll hold off.
Do you still have the picture?
I still have it.
You should put it up on Facebook and then
Oh,
we'll share
I
it.
will. Yeah, we'll put it in on this.
Yeah.
And I have copies to send to all of those kids
Oh, that's
now
awesome.
who are out of college.
Yeah.
Right? Or last year or out of college. That's where they're at. So, yeah, those. I said, you guys earned it. No one's going to take this away from you. You will be bragging about this. Yes, it's Babe Ruth, or what is it?
But still, it's Babe Ruth, yeah.
Babe Ruth. And I said, but you know what? When you're my age, you're going to be telling this story. And it's so cool. And to be there, you were saying with my involvement, it's never been a question. It's, someone says, oh, you're an activist. I guess I'm an activist. I guess I'd
wouldn't
rather
consider
be
you an
an activist as opposed to an inactivist, right?
Well, I think there's I don't know. There's And now we're getting to small town government, which is my next thing. Because
You're gonna delve there?
I'm
Oh, my
really, really briefly, because I
goodness.
want to spend a chunk talking about the Legion. But
Yes, ma'am.
and the only reason was because I ran into Art Smith yesterday in front of the post office.
He's wonderful.
He is wonderful. So I started this thing called Community Questions. So I asked people on Facebook, just out there, whatever. I'm like, OC's my next guest. I'm not making it a surprise anymore. He's coming on. What do you want to know about him? The first person that responded has to do with the Legion, so I'll get to hers. And hers is a riot. But there was somebody in the troop that I won't say their name since they're a minor, that asked me, because the reason why I asked you about you starting off, whether you were in Bedford all this time or not, because Lynn had told me that when your grandparents were in Bedford or tied to Bedford.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So the question,
Oh, good,
the
good.
question from your OC, you have a very strong tie with Ireland, let's just say.
Huh?
So you sent me pictures yesterday, which it was too late for me to put up here, but we do have pictures to share here. Some of them. One was the same that you sent me of you, that you were plugging the pancake breakfast,
Yes.
and we used to green screen. So, we still do sometimes,
Yes,
for
yes, yes.
certain things, but we're not right now. And this isn't really what it looks like in Bedford, but anyway, it's not springtime.
60
So
degrees out.
yeah, we green screen. So you had some fun with that,
Oh, that
and
was
we
too
have those
much fun.
pictures up.
Oh, wow,
where-
there it is. You had it.
That's in front of the green screen. So you have. You can use your imagination. So we'll get that picture shared publicly so everyone can see.
All right, this is without the actual
This is
magic
yeah.
of green
So
screen. Okay.
You'll have to take a look at the Facebook page for Neighbors to Know to see the after picture.
And for
of
those
what that
not
looks
in,
like.
in the industry, anything that is green
Doesn't show
does
up.
not show.
So use
And
your imagination.
it was something. It was like all you could see was eyebrows, goatee, and a hat.
And one more thing, which ties in
Yes.
with my question.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so the Boy Scout asked that, are you 100% Irish, since you hone in on your Irishness? And I assumed that you were. But apparently,
Interesting.
I'm mistaken.
Well, to let it out of the bag, all right?
It's not really true.
right around St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I'm nothing but 100%, maybe even 110% Irish. But let the truth really be known.
Dun, dun, dun.
My grandparents came to the United States
From Ireland? No!
from Italy, on July 4th, 1920.
July 4th, really?
It happened to be July
Wow.
4th. They ended up here in Bedford. And what happened there is they gave birth, or my grandmother did, to their first of three. My mother was the baby, but my Uncle Matchy. Uncle Matchy and this face have more than 65% similar attributes from northern Italy. So it was pretty. My grandfather was shot down in World War II by the Germans, so that'll tie into the
Yeah.
Bedford
Yeah.
Centennial Reflections.
Yeah,
with
and I
the
want to
American
make
Legion.
sure we're running short on
So
time
I'm
here.
I'm
So I
back
wanna
here
get to
full
that.
cycle. Came
Yeah.
back here. We've been here 21, 22 years. Carpet bagging, never be a real Bedfordite,
But I do want to talk about your, because you do so much for the veterans here in Bedford, and you're involved in so many different parts, different committees or whatever. One of the questions from Art yesterday, and I'm getting into this really briefly because like I said, I want to talk about the Legion a bit, but he said that he ran against you for planning board some
goodness.
30 years ago.
Almost
and
30.
And he said that you won. So
No, I did not win against Arthur.
He
Are
won?
you kidding? Arthur won. It was never going to be
Ooh,
beating
interesting.
him. Now look,
Okay,
when we
here
get
we
into
go.
the Legion, I'll put on my Legion hat, and we've already spoken about the scouting. So this
Oh,
is when I was
nice.
a scoutmaster. This is my
that was when
scouting
you were in
hat.
Mount D in Canada.
Yeah, oh, yes. and then we have, we'll do American Legion later with this one, and
You have a lot of
Air
hats.
Force, prior Air Force, enlisted.
And when you were in the Air Force, I find it also interesting what you did when you were in the Air Force.
Oh yes, here's with
have
the
that hat.
one I my passion right now, and this is great, is a mix between the American Legion and scouting, which is great. My Knights of Columbus hat, another one that we wear, and this is wonderful.
And you're active with Knights of Columbus now.
Yes, ma'am. And this one's the one that I really like. You know, if you love your freedoms.
Oh, I like that one.
You know, think of that. So your question here, as my
So-
mind replays the tape, is more what?
So Christine Bennett had asked, you know,
Yes.
right now you're the commander of, well, you know, it's got to be fun if it's from Christine Bennett. She asked for a Venn diagram. I can do that on my own because we're not doing math. But you are commander at the Anthony Hunt Hamilton American
Yes, ma'am.
Legion,
Yes,
Post
ma'am.
221.
Yes, okay. Yes.
That's where the Boy Scouts troop
That's
meets
right,
too.
and that's the commander of that one. Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
So, so her question was, if you're a veteran or actively serving right now, and whether you're looking for support or some certain service, we have Hanscom Air Force Base, we have
Yes.
the VA.
Yes.
If you're looking for something,
Okay.
where would you be looking to get what? What kind of things do they help you with at the Legion? What kind of
Well,
supports do you have?
I'm going to have to bring out my notes on this
Go
one.
right on ahead.
I brought my
Oh!
notes. So if you can see this,
I see your
I'll
notes.
pass you on my notes
Okay,
here.
I got them.
I was
These are nice notes.
I was a percussionist, so I just knew what it sounded like. I didn't know that it had staffs and up and down like that.
Go ahead, sing it away.
So right now, there's with the shutdown, we have U.S. Coast Guard personnel that do not fall under the auspice of pay with the DoD. They are part of Homeland Security, but they're not getting paid anything. There are also other members on Hanscom. We have 75 families, Coast Guard families at Hanscom. We, as a post, are extremely fortunate to have the VA, a wonderful VA, right down the street here, Edith North Rogers VA, and we have Hanscom, one of only 2 active duty bases in all of New England. Now we have Otis, we have Pease, and those are, you know, Air National Guard, National Guard posts and Devons and such like that, but only one of 2 active. So if, as of right now, and I know that people want to give, and that's so good. No one knows how long this is going to go on, the shutdown, but the post, 357 Great Road, is accepting, please at this moment in time, only accepting diapers of all sizes and wipes. We will get that to the chaplain's office at Hanscom. That's what they've asked us, only asked us to receive. As things come later that, you know, possibly gas cards and such like that, formulas, other non-perishables, okay, that'll come up. But right now, that's all we're asking them. Field a lot of questions. Our department, American Legion Department, have received a lot of calls. We look for people that if they're American Legion members or they want, you know, they apply so that they can get subsidies from us, and then we've got great people in Massachusetts. We got Ken Gordon, you know, that's active and very supportive of the military. They can apply for unemployment if they're Massachusetts residents. So there's that. That's what it is there. As far as for us, we're having our 100th anniversary this Saturday.
Your Centennial Reflections.
Centennial Reflections, Bedford Centennial Reflections, and the website is bedfordcentennialreflections.com. We're going to keep that website up. Now, there's like 3 things all in one there. The first thing is we're a nod to the American Legion, which started after the armistice signed on the 11th month, 11th day, 11th hour, which was November 11th, 2018 was the 100th. The American Legion started after that, so we are in our 100th. That website will stay up, and we want people in the community, in our extended community, to think of, you know, was there anything in their grandfathers, grandmothers, like my grandfather got shot down, an Italian pilot. So I'm going to have that story. At least the Allies, it was good then. If, like, we've got people sending in postcards they received from their great uncles or, you know, and grandparents and stuff like that. Share those stories with us. Go on, and you'll see links for that. And please, this Saturday, as we celebrate that, we're also having a Veterans Appreciation Barbecue. We're so fortunate to be involved with Hanscom. The relationship with personnel that we've had, that have been growing over the years, and right now there with Bobby Jacques, Rich Carson, Chief Hayes is wonderful, Colonel Furland, all of them, Chief Daly, and my favorite current E8, Miss Jess McQueen, who is on the list for E9. Soon she'll be putting on her stripes, so she's just wonderful. All these people have been great with us. They support us, we support them, and it's growing. So they're helping us put together this 100th, the Veterans Appreciation, and we have some great
Is that open
prizes.
to everybody too, or just for?
It's for veterans. If people want to come down, please come down. Okay, we've got some great raffles going on. We've got I don't know if anybody heard of Big Poppy. You know, he's got a signed bat, or a guy named Bobby Ure with a signed stick.
I met him.
And then a couple other.
He's a big supporter of the VA too.
Yes, that is, he's so wonderful. Oh, I remember doing covering photography over there with him, and he's just, I remember him back in the days of houligans. But we have to do
That's
another
another
we have to
story.
do
That's
another
a part
subject
two.
on that one. So the other ones are in cases. All of these are certified, authentic, and the raffle tickets will be available. Come on down. Gronk's football signed in a case, and some guy, number 12, what's his name? Quarterback. Tom
quarterback,
Brady.
yeah.
Tom Brady signed helmet. So
Very
all
cool.
those are there, and it's going to be great.
So it's this Saturday.
This Saturday,
at the
4
Legion.
o'clock is the barbecue, and the drawing starts at 6. We also have lots of silent auction items that'll be there. It's very festive. It's a nod to the past for those people that put us to where we are, how we've come a long ways from the beginnings, and where we're going, because we're going to continue our mission is to support veterans in our local community.
And we thank you for doing that. I know it's deep. It's funny because you have the funny side to you, but then you give back so much, with the service that you've done for, everyone, for our country, and what you're doing right here in town too.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, OC, for coming on today. I'm thrilled that I had to get a chance to talk to you in front of everybody. We probably ran an hour over, so I apologize as Ryan's laughing. He's like, we're okay.
Go ahead. We bought the airtime.
But you can, so we had some website links up there to learn more about Troop 194. You can go on Facebook. They have a Facebook page, which is Troop 194. .org, yeah,
.org.
and then they've been updating their Facebook page.
Oh, the Facebook? I just
Boy
go
Scout
onto
Troop
the link.
194 Bedford, MA.
Okay, you know
and then
better
the
than I.
Legion, the Centennial event we had that was up there. What's the site for the Legion?
Legion in general, go to our Facebook page, American Legion, Bedford Legion on that. And I got to say, we've got such great people in our post. The auxiliary, the ladies, they're the lifeblood of our, it's like ever. And our new members of the American Legion Riders.
I went by the Legion once and they were there. I didn't know what was going on, so.
Don't tell Lynn, I do have a motorcycle.
Uh-oh.
Between you and me, all right?
It's between you and me and like the other 15 people that are watching right now.
Oh, all of them?
Yes, he has a motorcycle. Okay, so we're going to sum things up, and even though we can talk for hours very easily, but thanks again, OC, seriously, for everything that
Thanks,
you've done.
Jen, for this whole program.
Me and my kids and just everyone. You're a huge asset to this town and for all that you've done for everyone. So you are definitely a neighbor to know in lots of places. And one thing I didn't mention, he does speak Japanese and Chinese and Turkish and a whole bunch of other languages too. But that's a whole other story, so you'll have to take a look and just do some research on OC to find that out. So we will see you very soon. Thank you again to OC. We'll see you soon for another episode of Neighbors to Know. That will be coming up soon. Maybe we'll go live on that one too. If you know anyone that you think is a neighbor to know in Bedford or even a surrounding town, make sure that you email at neighborstoKnow@gmail.com and let me know who those people are, even though I have some people up in the works, but you'll have to tune in to see who that is. Thanks so much for joining us on this epic Facebook Live event, and we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.